right, hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We're back. We're playing more Call of Cthulhu. We've been off for a couple months, and we're starting up again. We're calling it season 2. I don't know if that really makes sense, but we're calling it season 2. So season 2 of our
Electric Boogaloo, you know?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So was it Ashley? Who was the one who brought up Orient Express today in our group chat in Discord? Who was that? Was that you, Ashley?
It was Ashley inadvertently, and then Steven said it was an Orient
Steven
Express
said
reference.
hype, so then I was like, hype train, and then
I was feeling really bad. Like you mentioned it, I'm like, oh man, I miss it. And I went and I listened back to the music I had picked for like the opening for that. I love the music I picked for that because it's all weird, and then it breaks into like psychedelic jazz. It's pretty fantastic. So yeah, and we were just getting into the Dreamland stuff. It was going to be crazy and epic, and then schedules got crazy and blew up and blah 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 blah.
That was my fault. I joined and then it just it stopped working.
So what I said is I'm just going to TPK you guys in this next section, and then we're going to jump over and we're going to do Orient Express.
Then we meet in the Dreamlands.
No, you're dead, so you're not going to. These characters are gone.
I'm going to be there, Jeff.
Well, Orient Express was also where Melissa and Katz started having a bad relationship. Was in that.
The last thing we saw was you essentially kicking cats and stepping on them inside.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
Brutal.
And then
she was literally stepping on them and kicking them.
Yeah.
Like going out of her way too, like intentionally.
Yeah. It was truly horrifying.
I feel like there were some dice rolls that influenced that, but I shared in our private chat about how I said I was going to be better with cats this time around in Call of Cthulhu.
Hey, little known fact about Melissa: hates animals. Just hates them. It's true.
So untrue. So
untrue.
I've been saying for years, I want to get a dog. I want to get 2 of them. Melissa's like, no.
We're going to.
You keep saying that. Sure. Right. Okay.
Steven has a dog he's trying to get rid of.
That's true.
He's ready for you whenever you want him.
We talked about that actually. There was a conversation that happened a while back, like when you first found Cricket.
Don't tease me. Don't tease me.
Yeah. I mean, it's way too late now. Cricket's got squatter rights on your boat. So
That's true.
He can go
totally
at a moment's notice.
Nope. I like Cricket though. When you
good.
brought him out here, I mean, I like Mavs too. They're both cool, but I really feel like you maligned Cricket's reputation way too much.
Well, he deserves it. He got into some food today he wasn't supposed to anyway, so he's in the doghouse. So
that's your fault.
Yeah. It's clearly not the human's fault for leaving the food where it could be gotten into.
Well, then it's Leah's fault because it was her food that she left out. So I am blameless here. I just have to deal with the fallout.
Okay.
So it is
clearly,
your fault.
Clearly, we got there.
Watching the stream.
We got there eventually.
She's napping. I'm fine.
That's what I figured. All right. Well, you all ready to do this? We haven't played for a while. We've been playing a couple other games. Played some On Cluster, which you should check out back. By the way, our friend Tracy Sizemore has that up. So check that out. And then what did we do before that? Did we do anything before that? What do I feel like I'm forgetting something? I feel like it's been a while.
I am also now
has it only
forgetting.
Is that all we played? Was it just On Cluster?
We did 2 things of
On
Cluster.
I could have sworn we played.
And we had a week off,
else.
so it was like 6 weeks.
Okay. Because we I think we last played in like January. Last played Call of Cthulhu. I don't remember play. I did all the prep, but I totally forgot to look at any of the rules. So that's usually a bad sign. So I think this is a D20 game, right?
I trust you.
That's what I was.
Ashley's
sounds right.
Ashley's mentioning her Norse Foundry folders. I'm like, wait a second. Call of Cthulhu
I'm not going to roll a real die. I'm going to be in.
I still remember that. That was one of the best discoveries.
That was just
so funny.
There's a D100 game.
I still want to die.
Ashley's passing everything, man. She's rolling really well.
I'm like,
what die are you
wrong? Like this shouldn't be right.
It was so funny.
She posted a picture of how good she rolled, and we're like, wait,
God, kill me.
It was phenomenal. I still think it's extremely funny. So funny.
You guys ever have those moments where you think about and like it actively makes you cringe on yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
That's
what I was thinking on cough syrup, like trying to get through it. Anyways.
I was really sick.
Yeah.
I accidentally called someone the wrong name at work the other day, and like hours until I could find them again to say, I'm so sorry. I really so sorry. I know what your name is. And that wasn't it. It was my most recent version of that.
Pain.
When I was in my probationary period at my college years ago, we have like a 5-year probationary period before you essentially get our equivalent of tenure. And you have to go through a mentorship. You have to have mentors, like faculty mentors and everything. Yep. And one of the guys who was my faculty mentor, because I had two, one in my department and one outside the department. So this geology guy, he saw me on campus and he called me the wrong name. And it was really awkward because I'm like, I feel like you should know my name, as we've had multiple meetings. You've come into my class, I've come into your class, and you still called me the wrong name. And he did the same thing that you did, Melissa. He sought me out later and he felt so bad afterwards. Yeah. Just like, I don't really care. It's easy. It's cool because I don't mind being called the wrong name because it means like I can do whatever I want. I'm blaming on that person.
Who I am.
Whatever I want. I'm just going to set this couch
That's
on fire.
That's a Seinfeld episode, isn't it? Where someone calls Elaine by the wrong name and she gets in trouble. Yeah.
It definitely sounds like a Seinfeld plot. So if you want to call
for
it
sure.
Plot, but yeah.
For sure.
Oh, goodness. All right. So we've done our luck. You got your luck, up and fine. It's good to go. So we're going to be jumping ahead. We're going to be doing a time jump rather than linger. Last we saw everybody. I don't have a full summary, obviously, of first season. That would take too long. But last we saw all of you, we were in Arkham. It was wintertime. We saw a lot of various things happen. We saw Beverly lose her job. She was essentially forced out of Miskatonic University as some old stories came home to roost. And then we saw Will get new friends from Ankana and Savitri's grandmother as you became neighbors with them in an apartment building owned
to
by
celebrate Christmas. A little bit.
And you celebrated because you just completely destroyed like a turkey or something or a ham. I can't remember what it was. And then what else happened? Patrick, you started seeing things. You keep seeing, good old Jack Pisner. You walked into your barbershop. One of the first things you saw is you mistook your old pal Peter, I believe, Peter the barber, for Jack Pisner, and your brain kind of started going a little crazy with you. And then Shyma, we saw Shyma. She basically became a recluse for a little while as she spent time inside of the hangar where the Silver Lance, your private plane that Frank Kearns flies you around the world in. So Shyma kind of hung out there for a bit by herself. And remember that both Shyma and Patrick in Bangkok, they had gotten captured effectively. And during their time in which they were captured, they were on Kokruk Island. They were essentially brought into the dangerous game where Sirikon was sort of chasing you around the island. And part of that was she stabbed you with nectar-infused spears of some kind. And both of you in Ankana, our NPC friend, have manifested minor mouths on different parts of your body. Shyma, I believe it's on your hand. Is it right or left? Do you recall? Left hand. And then left. Patrick,
Sorry,
I think it's
left.
No,
hand.
You're good. Left hand, and then Patrick is on your right forearm.
Mine's left wrist, top of the wrist.
Okay, left. Okay, so both of you hit on the left. Perfect. Okay, so you both have that, and Ankana has hers on her leg, on her thigh. Now, you haven't yet discovered any particular way to solve it. You've tried multiple things. You've seen multiple things, but you know that these mouths are not silent. They're extremely uncomfortable. They're constantly trying to gnaw and eat things. They're spitting. They're gnashing. Like these are. You're probably not. Both of you are probably not getting particularly great sleep while you have it as well. So it is not a pleasant experience. You wrap it up and it'll eat through the fabric that you use to cover it. Taking it out into public is such a huge hassle because at any moment someone could notice it. Things like that you have been dealing with over this time. Okay. So, we ready to start?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we're going to jump ahead a bit and then we'll backfill some story so we can figure out how we got from that winter time in Arkham to where we are now. Let's get a little sounds going. All right. A little ambiance, maybe. Okay. So, again, it's going to be about waiting for the music to catch up. Come on. You can do it. Okay, maybe it's not catching up. 1 sec.
Come on, little buddy. You got this.
It just didn't want to play. So now I got to redo everything. Now I spent extra money to get this sound I'm about to play.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. There it is. You guys hear it?
I hear it.
A plane?
Yeah, it's a plane. It's a propeller. Long. Yeah.
Oh,
Very
okay.
nice. Very
Got it.
nice.
Like
I
it.
am. I am in scene.
So I'm just resetting some things here because now I have to reset everything. All right.
Oh, that's so cool.
Let's start again. Okay. So we start up black screen as we always do. And we hear the sound of a plane already in flight. Propeller going. Screen reads April 1937. We fade up into the cockpit of the Silverlance, the name of the plane that is in the ownership of Janet Winston Rogers, the person who has been funding your investigations, who has recruited all of you into this team. And we see our pilot, Frank Kearns, grimacing, struggling. You can see he's having a hard time of things. The plane is kind of shuddering a little bit here and there. Turbulence is kind of knocking it left and right. You can see he's sweating. He kind of calls back over his shoulder into the passenger area, and he's like, hey, stay strapped in, folks. The wind's fighting us today. This is going to be a bumpy one. And then as he calls back, we start to kind of follow where he has spoke to, right? We kind of like the sounds lead, and then the camera starts to follow. And we look through the cockpit doorway, and we see like the rear of the plane. And like the actual seats of the investigators themselves are a little bit obscure just by the little cutout. And as we move forward and sort of zoom in, we can see at the back of the plane, there are all sorts of crates that have been stacked up and strapped down. All of them say Winston Pharmaceuticals. And it's occupying what effectively would be the final 2 rows of the cabin that normally have seats, but we can see that those seats have been removed to make space for these crates. As we start to kind of pull back a little bit, we start to see some of our investigators. And the first one we see, kind of just sort of popping up into view, we see kind of like the dusty blonde hair of Will Sawyer. Boyish face that belies his age, maybe. We can see maybe some wounds, some very light surface abrasions, maybe a yellowing black eye that's healing. And then I'm going to turn it over to you, Stephen. So how is he dressed? What is he doing right now on the plane? And then when you're done with that, tell us a little bit about what he's thinking about.
So he actually, I'm saying that the hit that he got from when he was hit by a car in season 1 actually fractured his cheekbone, and it's healing, but it's healing where it like breaks up the symmetry of his face. So he's got a much larger bump there than he ever did before, and it kind of takes away from some of that boyishness that he had, and it's aged him up just a little bit. But the energy is still there, and you can tell that he's mostly recovered and he's back. He is wearing his standard clothing. He's wearing like this sort of like military cut. It's not a uniform, but it's that same sort of practical style, green shirt. And he's got the large bandana around ready to be able to cover his face if there's any dust or anything like that. It's a very practical outfit from the one of the few things that he sort of kept from his training when he was in the French Foreign Legion.
And as we're like zooming in, is there anything he's doing while on the plane? You've been traveling for a while, like you're constantly jolting. It's not the most comfortable flight, but you've been on flights like this before in your time. Is there anything you're doing on the plane?
I think he would be quite bored. And he's not one for really reading or research or pretty much planning of any sorts. So I think he would be kind of like he would have found like a tear in one of the cushions, and he would have just started picking at it. And now this tear is just like there's a massive chunk of cushion and fabric that's been pulled out. And he's also trying to like now that we're getting like halfway through the trip, he realized how big it is when he was doing it absentmindedly. So now he's trying to like mash it all back together and kind of refit it so that he won't get in trouble with Frank over it later.
Right. And you will get in trouble with Frank, as he's not shy about talking down to you. Now, is there anything like on your mind, anything you're thinking about? It's been a couple months. You've settled into Arkham. Like what was Will doing or, doing in those couple of months?
Yeah. Going back to the fractures and the of his cheek, he'd be thinking about how some of those bruises were kind of compounded. Just a few weeks ago, he gets bored and he looks for something to do. And sometimes those things he looks to do are not always beneficial for him. So while he was in Arkham, he started hanging out at a nearby bar just for something, socialization, some sort of action. And the bar had a fairly nice radio, and people who didn't have radios at home would often come to this bar just to listen to like prize fights and things like that. And there was a Joe Louis fight that was going on, a boxing match. And Will, at this point, had started casually on the side, started taking bets at this bar for all sorts of events. He became a bit of a bookie. And he was, of course, taking bets on this fight. And you can hear like the announcer talking about like the Brown Bomber coming into the ring. And he was doing last minute bets on like how many rounds it would go and things like that. And it started taking a turn when a couple guys came into this bar that he didn't recognize them. They were dressed a lot nicer than most people at this bar normally would be. They were also very large men. And it seemed as if they knew Will, despite Will having no idea who they were. And they sought him out in such a way that Will took notice, but he also tried to just laugh it off. Like, I'll get to you in a bit. And it turns out that, Will taking bets in Arkham was not appropriate in some people's minds. Some people thought like maybe he should be paying a version of taxes on these bets that he was not paying, like doing his due diligence. And of course, Will did not quite agree with that. And it led to not only that fracture on his one side from the car collision, but it did cause some temporary symmetry when the other side started swelling up later on that evening. And Will ended up not making any money that night. In fact, he actually lost money. Money he had that he started with was no longer in his pockets by the end of the evening.
Okay, so as we get this little flashback scene of you just getting your ass beat by these Arkham mobsters. Do you have a name for the bar, by the way?
We'll call it Jerry's Bar.
Jerry's Bar. Another Jerry. Oh boy, look out.
I like Jerry.
Okay. Wasn't Jerry was in LA as well. It was the name of the cop bar, I believe.
Well, Will wasn't in LA, so he didn't know that.
Yeah. Maybe Will was there. Maybe we're learning things. Okay, so as we fade out of that, we look at Will's face where previously in the flashback scene he was all bloodied and beaten, and now we can see it's yellowed and healed, and he looks fine. From a distance, probably no one really noticed, but up close, you can probably see the residue of some of his recent physical altercations. And as we back in the cabin now, we kind of move around a bit. We veer, and across the aisle, we see Bev. Bev, why don't you go ahead and describe, what do you look like? What are you doing? Do you have a book out? Are you studying? Is there something you're trying to accomplish? Again, you're kind of sort of getting thrown around a bit. You've all, I would say at this point, you've been flying for somewhere in the neighborhood of, this not all at once, but you've probably almost 2 weeks you've been traveling from Arkham. You've made several stops. You've made stops in familiar places, Newfoundland and the Azores, Casablanca even briefly. So you're following a similar path that you've seen before. It seems to be something that that Frank knows well, and he has connections in some of these airports, and so it makes it easier for him to find places to store the plane. But you have been traveling for quite some time. So what do you think Bev looks like right now? What is she doing in the plane? And then once that's over, what is she thinking about these last few months?
Bev is noticeably less glamorous than what she normally would wear in preparation of where we're traveling to. She's wearing more of her garb that she would wear when she's going to go on an archaeology expedition. So she's got these dark brown pants, a belt, a nice blouse, and then also some sort of headscarf covering ready for when they land, to help blend in with the locale. And her hair has been dyed back brown again. So the shocking blonde is gone. It's still rather short. It's still chopped kind of to her shoulders, and she's kind of kept it at that length. And she's sitting there and she's reading and she's going through her notes, and she's just kind of melancholy. She, after losing her job, she decided she needed to start consolidating her items. So she wound up selling her home, and she moved back into the estate with her father. And in doing so, her move happened to coincide with her mom's birthday, and her mother has passed about 5 years ago now. And they tend to have, her and her father, they have a ritual that they do, is they go and they visit her grave, they'll speak with her for a while, and then they'll return to the family estate and they'll have a picnic underneath her mom's favorite tree. And Beverly has a habit of picking up buttons that her seamstress mother would have liked, and collecting them and then hiding them in this kind of hollow in the tree. And after her dad leaves, she takes the time to go through and she picks out one that she brings with her that she's fidgeting with on the plane. She had sewn it in herself into her shirt on the inside, and so she's just kind of touching it as she's remembering her mom. And she also has just kind of all of her notes that she's been consolidating on George Ayres, as well as the notes that she had been researching for the cleansing ritual that she found that leads to South Africa, and just kind of George Ayres' travel path that he took to kind of determine where we're going. And she's just kind of refreshing herself on all of the information that she learned, going over all of his information while she was staying at her dad's house.
Gotcha. And you have lots of his research material.
Mm-hmm.
And between his research material that you collected from Hamish McDunn, the history professor who kind of stabbed you in the back a little bit.
Yes, he did.
But you have some of that material. You guys have skimmed over it. I would imagine over the last couple of weeks, you probably poured over a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you probably found some correspondence and some other details that kind of pointed and started to dovetail a little bit with some of the more academic research, or not even really academic, more like travel logs, where you were kind of reading a little bit about the Afar people, like it's the Horn of Africa and the kind of the Northeast area.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. So as we pull away from Bev then, and we continue to sort of backtrack through the cabin a bit, we kind of move up to the next row. And that's when we settle a little bit in on Patrick. Maybe right in front of Will, row in front of Will. So tell us a little bit about what Patrick looks like. He's been through the ringer for the last several months, lost his fiance, nearly was killed multiple times while in Bangkok, grew this manifestation on his arm. Things have been going really, starting seeing things, Jack Pisner. So what does Patrick look like? What's he doing on the plane right now?
When you looked at Patrick, he used to be very clean shaven, nice pressed clothes. That's kind of gone away now. It's a bit more rugged looking, shaggy hair. His hair's not kept in place. He's grown a full beard now. It's a bit shaggy as well. And his shirts are wrinkly. And he's got the bags under his eyes as well. And he's been dozing off, on and off on the plane, trying to get as much sleep as he can. But he's always woken up to either bumps on the plane or the unrest of the hand. It's pretty regularly, just keeping them up all the time. And I'm probably taking swigs from my flask. Just got whiskey on me, trying to ease the annoyance.
Do you have you kind of come up with like a regular standard operating procedure for keeping the mouth quiet and hidden? I mean, on the plane, it's less of a concern because everyone's aware, but obviously in public, and especially in public around, in a new area that you might not know or be familiar with. Like, is there some sort of standard operating procedure you go through each day?
Yeah, I've been like just shoving as much cloth as I can until it quiets down as much as possible.
Maybe we see like a duffel, like tucked underneath the your seat that's just scraps of fabric that you just reach down, pour into, and shove a new thing. And it's just scrap material stuff that you've pulled, whether it's from a store or from trash, whatever it might be, just to kind of shove this in its mouth.
And when I put the bottle down, what I've been thinking of is the last time I tried cutting hair for a customer. I put him down, got to shaving him, trying to cut his hair, but my previous injuries, my pinky, it's been a bit hard from the tip being cut off. And my mouth, it actually like would nick the customers. I would have to play it off as me accidentally cutting them and having Peter take over.
Let me ask you about Peter. Has Peter have you shown him
I've
the
tried to
true...
keep it hidden as best as possible. I don't want to show this to anybody, really.
Okay. So if you're unable to cut hair, like what does that mean? What does that mean for the barber shop? What does that mean for yourself? Are you continuing to do it? Or are you just taking a leave of absence? Like what's happening with that?
Yeah, so I would have to pretty much leave and have Peter take over. He can run the shop, hire another person. I'd have to tell him I've left for a bit. So he's the man in charge.
Do you think that you made that decision recently, like in the last few weeks, or is that something you made like a month or two ago?
It was like a month or two ago when I realized I couldn't cut the hair anymore, give any proper shaves.
Have you been doing anything in the interim to like make money and pay bills?
Probably just like under the table jobs or on a down low. Not really much customer interaction. Maybe physical labor.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So we pull away from the now bearded Patrick Price. Melissa, we're going to have to get the art updated, so why don't you get on that? The bearded Patrick Price, disheveled. And we kind of look over to the other side, and we see Marie. And there is Marie. So, Melissa, tell us a little bit about what we see. How does Marie look? What is she doing on the plane? That kind of thing. When you're done with that, tell us a little bit about what she's thinking about, what maybe is on her mind from the last couple of months.
So I would say, maybe we kind of cut over to Marie because maybe she will kind of reach out and kind of ask Patrick to kind of take a swig from his flask, here and again, to kind of help her nerves, while flying. So that's, kind of the pan over to Marie. And similar to Bev's description, like Marie, I feel like even in Bangkok was still like wearing heels and, kind of concerned about appearance. And she definitely looks much more appropriate she has sensible flat shoes. She's got kind of more of that, kind of like long skirt culotte pant type, look that she's got, going on. So she's definitely very similar, that she's, kind of taken the appropriate notes about what she should be wearing kind of coming to this area. And she has kind of a little notebook out. And she, by profession, is a singer, and, that's kind of what she does, and that's kind of what she's good at. And so a lot of these things are kind of outside her wheelhouse necessarily. So she's kind of like whistling to herself a bit and just sort of humming, here and there, as she just is sort of doodling more like music notes and sort of a, word here or there. And as she is kind of fading in and out a little bit as, kind of the flight's kind of drag on in hours. She's, kind of thinking back to, over the last couple of months, and you see her in her normal attire. She looks well put together, full makeup, all of the things, and you see her on a B&M train. That you kind of hear the conductor, Boston ahead, and you see her kind of getting in and getting off the train, and she just kind of walking around Boston, and kind of see her a little later in the evening, and you see her at a jazz club. She's kind of sitting off by herself, listening intently to this group that is performing, and she waits around afterwards to see if she can kind of chat with them. And if you kind of looked at the any signage, it would say that the group that's performing is Blanche Calloway and her Joy Boys. And so Marie kind of goes up afterwards, and she had crossed paths with Blanche Calloway in the 1920s in Chicago. And they were both working, and so you kind of see a polite Blanche remembers her, but they haven't been performing, and Marie's not actively performing now. So you just kind of see that little meet up afterwards, and Marie, not having a whole lot of money, just sort of stays at boarding house and takes the B&M back the next day to back to the Northeast a bit. And as she's on the train, kind of going through her bag, she kind of looks in the bag and kind of gets a little bit startled when she looks in the bag because there's a sleeping cat in her bag. And she just sort of looks around, and there aren't really a lot of other folks in the car of the train with her. So there's no color, doesn't seem to belong to anyone in particular. And so then you sort of see a scene where she is back at Nancy's, packing up, getting ready to leave, kind of putting just a small duffel together, for this trip. We were told we can't bring as much this time, and she's kind of getting a ride back to meet up with everyone to take this flight. And as she's kind of doing a final check through of what she has in her bag, lo and behold, the cat that she named Joy Boy for the time in which she met him did in fact once again crawl his way into her bag and is now en route with us.
Okay. So is the cat in your lap right now? Is it, or where exactly is the cat?
Yes, definitely. At this point, kind of coming back to the present, she's kind of got the notebook writing, but with the other hand, she's kind of petting this purring cat.
Okay. And everybody else, how did you all react to seeing Marie? Out of curiosity, really quick, how do you think you reacted when you saw Marie bring yet another cat onto a plane for an international investigation?
I didn't know you liked cats.
I suppose
Cutest thing.
you see, isn't he just absolutely adorable? Sensible people would say that one should not bring a cat to such things, but I've never been called a sensible person or a person who makes the responsible choices. So I needed the comfort of this little guy, and he has decided that I am his. So
I would have never guessed you were a cat lady.
I take offense at such characterizations, my boy.
I'm just saying, you don't seem like the type of person who likes cats, that's all.
Well, I believe that you should be a person who likes cats as well. And she sort of picks up Joy Boy and sort of plops him in Will's lap.
Will likes cats. He'll take the cat. He'll pet it.
Okay.
Best keep that away from me. Call my own pet.
You hear that?
Oh yes.
You hear the gnashing mouth when he says that. Perfectly on cue.
Everyone had a happy moment. And we just go back to being dour.
Yeah, that's Patrick's role now. I like it. Yeah, he's the mood killer. All right. Okay. So as we sort of move away from Marie and Joy Boy, and we come to the first row, kind of again, we're pulling back towards the cockpit once more, and we see on one side of the aisle is you can see your luggage, which is not like you. It's inside, and it's all strapped together. You see these small duffels, like you were told that the sort of the cargo space, the limited cargo space, is being used for various Winston Pharmaceutical shipments as part of operations that need to be done. But we see across from that, we see Shyma. So Maitreyi, why don't you tell us about what's Shyma looking like these days, and if there's anything she's currently doing on the plane right now?
So as a reminder of what Shyma looks like, basically, she's quite tall. She's about 6'3", and half again as wide as most people, and she is pretty aware that the location that she's going to it's probably going to be difficult for her to actually like buy clothes domestically, so she used her mom's seamstress training to make a lot of long loose kaftans, and she's kind of sitting in the plane now, and she has very much sort of like reacted fairly immediately to Franken's instructions of like being better strapped in because turbulence is coming and everything. And you see that she's kind of been working on this small piece of embroidery in like an embroidery ring. It's this very simple cloth, and she's working on embroidering it FK. And as soon as he sort of says like, oh, that's tripping, she kind of starts adjusting herself in her seat and puts the ring down and does all that.
Is there anything immediately different about you that we might notice as
yes,
we look at you?
And that actually ties into the moment that she's finding it a little bit difficult to kind of physically adjust herself, and the reason is that she will go back to the darkness
Yeah.
and when we open up, it's mostly silence, and you kind of have some smells hit you before you actually see what's going on. And the two smells that you have are that sweet and spicy kind of cigar smoke, and you also smell antiseptic. Shyma's eyes kind of blearily, groggily open in a hospital room, and there's this very handsome older man in a doctor's coat kind of leaning over her, and he has this kind of movie star jawline that probably isn't real. And next to him is this kindly looking older woman nurse who's just finishing taking an injection off of her. As her vision kind of clears and the nurse is moving to move away the privacy screen, like her left hand just drops. And she looks down. It's not her left hand. It's where her left hand used to be. And right now it just ends in a stump. And it's resting on this white pillow. And you see the doctor move to this older man who's been nervously pacing on the other side of the privacy screen, Shyma's dad. And the doctor says to him, we've just given her something to sleep. She needs her rest. And Shyma's like fighting sleep, but the drugs are entirely too intense, and she's just not able to do it. But in this moment, she's remembering her mother and that long conversation they had on Kokrak. And she kind of looks at her dad and just sort of mutters, sort of almost inquiringly. And if he wasn't paying such close attention to her, he might have missed it. And she says kind of softly, like, "Are you real? Or is it really you?" And he says to her, using a nickname that he hasn't used since she was like 5. And he says, I'm right here, Jill. I'm here to warn." And he kind of walks up to her, and you can tell he's trying very hard to not get weepy, and her eyes just close, just comforted by his presence.
So as we like watch maybe like a little bit of a montage play out of you coming back, the drugs eventually like wearing off a bit, dealing with sort of having to replace bandages and kind of go through like the process for kind of learning how to kind of operate now, missing your left hand. Do you spend time with your father? Does your father, does he stay in the picture? Okay.
She actually moves back in. One of the reasons that she got this amputated was that it's like, I gotta give this a shot because I need to go back home and reconnect with my father, especially if my mother is actually dead.
Okay.
So she actually has moved back home.
And was there something in particular? Because when you amputated the hand, you severed the hand and the mouth that had grown on it from yourself.
Yeah.
One thing you immediately notice, both when you wake up the first time in the drug-induced haze, and then each time after when you wake up, it never rematerializes anywhere on your body. Was there something in particular that you specifically instructed the doctors? Now, the doctors who are working on this were hired, as Janet had implied at the end of last season, that she could get particular people involved, and she did. Were there instructions that you had about this, or were you just sort of entrusting it to whatever Janet had instructed the doctors to do?
Shyma's request had been, and it sort of ties into the fear that she'd had the entire time, which is that she needs to be in control of this thing because she has no idea what it's capable of doing. And so her request to the doctors was, "Can you please just give me like a little anesthetic that's not going to knock me out while you do this? Just, I don't know what it's going to do. I don't know if it's going to attack you. I don't know if it's going to move."
Oh, it certainly tried.
Yeah. And I think they do try, but China's like huge. So I think that especially with the medicine that's available at that time period, I think at some point they have to give up and just knock her out.
Oh, I think for sure. Like they'll follow your instructions. So just to peel the curtain back, we did the rolls. There were rolls for this on whether this was successful or not. We did the rolls a couple weeks back just so we can kind of see what state you were in. And it was a successful surgery. That was going
to work or not.
It was a successful surgery. There are going to be some lingering recovery penalties that we've talked about. And so Maitreyi knows a little bit about that. In terms of like the whereabouts of the hand, do you entrust it to the you don't bring it to your dad's with you, do you? Or do you just entrust?
I have been reconnecting with Dr. Lanfer, and my request is that he keeps it.
A Lanfear?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. A Lanfear.
Okay, wait. We gotta wheel that back. You're giving the hand with the mouth to Cyrus Lanfear.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I misheard your question. I'm so sorry. No, I'm keeping it privately with myself.
Wait. let's restart. So I want to know what happened to the severed hand that has the mouth grown on it. You take it with you to your dad's home, or do you let Janet's you bring it into the home with your father?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, let me just make a quick note.
I'm so sorry, I misheard.
Make a few Constitution rolls for your dad. It sounds like.
I
that's
don't know
actually
what
I'm
else to
gonna be
do
doing.
with that right now.
Well, the doctors that severed it, they said that they can dispose of it, that Janet is very curious about having them study it as well. And so like it is an option. There is an option basically for that.
If there's an option, I'd love to take it. I didn't know there was an option.
I was about to roll like 20 sanity rolls for
I was like, your dad's fucked.
No, if there is any option to not have it around my dad, like that's the option.
Absolutely.
I would like
Yeah.
to take.
So you leave it in the hands of Winston pharmaceutical doctors. Okay. All right. Okay. So with that, as we see you spend time with your father, we have a few other things to do with Shyma. I saved Shyma for last because Shyma had a lot of shit going on. And not only she was getting her hand severed, but she was dealing with some indefinite insanity. So in the next month after your surgery, when your father is essentially tending to you, he's more or less your nurse in some ways, ensuring your bandages are changed, ensuring you're getting food. So I like to picture that maybe over the course of the Bangkok adventure and maybe during your time in the hangar, maybe some malnutrition set in a little bit. And so he's once more kind of trying to get like food back into you, if that's all right. Yeah. But what you're able to do, since you're spending some time with him over the next month, you can potentially take advantage of self-help to try to recover from indefinite insanity. You had tried once before in January, and you had a falling out a little bit with your father. That's when you mentioned in sort of this semi-argument with your dad about your mother, and that's when he realized you were seeing your mother and forgot that she had passed. And it didn't work out then. But now, after this moment of trauma and this moment of coming back together, we can go ahead, if you're okay with this, and see if you can maybe get this moment of normalcy, of being back in the home that you grew up in. Make a sand roll.
Okay.
All right.
First roll. Yeah.
Remember, no luck for sand rolls. It's just straight up.
Yeah. So fail with the 73.
Maybe it's just because you're on a lot of like drugs a little bit. Like there's like some, it's a little bit awkward at first. So you essentially fail. So that means you lose 1 sanity. And I think, we could talk about how that works, but your father is like the way I'm thinking of it, maybe is he being overprotective, or is he being, is it too much so? Okay.
Yeah. I think he's definitely like almost smothering her from her perspective.
Okay. Actually, I'm sorry, before we do that, because he's your key connection, you actually had a bonus die on that roll. So roll another D100. Sorry. It's before we... Yeah. This is what Patrick tried to do. Critically failed, and then got his ass dumped by his fiance.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's so fail.
Okay. All right. So everything we just said happens. But the montage continues, and we see over the course of March, as the ice is beginning to melt, the snow is beginning to melt in Arkham, we're starting to see color again. You're probably up and around more. You're probably becoming a little bit more accustomed to it. There's still a lot of pain and moments of phantom limb sort of syndrome. You'll get another shot at this, one more shot at this before the April sets in and we have to get you on a plane one way or the other. So you get another opportunity.
And do I get a bonus die again?
Right.
No?
So so just roll a sanity test with a bonus die, because it's your key connection, and definitely don't critically fail like Patrick did, or else you'll never see your father again.
This time with a 15.
Okay. Very nice. So what you can do mechanically is you can now remove your indefinite insanity, and you can roll a
yeah.
d6 to regain that much sand.
Oh, fantastic. I was so fucking worried about the indefinite.
Maybe it's you start taking up the needlepoint. That's the thing that maybe kind of gets you that normalcy, right?
That's I love that. That's like
Something
meditative.
grounded. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a struggle, obviously, but you're learning it, and maybe like Shyma, being a wrestler, you're very dedicated, like you're able to sort of push through. Okay. And so we will fade out of that, and we will come back to the cabin, to a shudder from more of the crosswinds and such. And we hear calling to you all from the cockpit is Frank. And some time has passed. Like all of this as we're sort of moving through and kind of looking into everyone's minds a bit. We hear Frank. He's like, "Hey, we got clearance, everyone. Gonna go ahead and start taking us down. It's good. It's gonna be a rough one. So you better strap in. Hey, Marie, there's bags under the seat. Try not to vomit on the upholstery. And Will, I swear to God, if you are plucking at the seat, never mind. Oh, jeez. And then all of a sudden the plane just sort of like shudders again. And like we shift, the camera shifts, and we see like the silver lance from the outside, like kind of coming down from the distance. We see it like head on, and we see it drifting, and sort of the wings kind of going a little wild as like these crosswinds are pummeling it. But eventually we see it land on this dusty utilitarian airstrip. It's like a gravel runway. So like the landing is extra rough as it hits. It's not the kind of like the paved strip that you landed or took off from in some other places. And we can see from the outside, and even as you look out the windows, this dirty cloud of dust just whips around and kind of peppers the sides of the plane. And once that settles and you start to move at a more controlled pace, all of you looking out windows, you can see that there is the strip itself is sort of flanked on either side by these low concrete hangars. We can see some are bearing the tricolored flag of France, and we can see it's daytime, bright sun, and you can tell just from the ambiance that it is oppressively hot outside relative to where you have just come from. You can see moving about some of these hangars, there are various people that are in khaki uniforms. They're moving between, it looks like, battered trucks and some parked biplanes. And you can see some of them have stopped their work and are watching this plane come down, land, get taxied, etc. And then as your plane kind of comes to a stop outside of one of these hangars, we see this Jeep approaching. And behind it, there's just this cloud of dust and dirt flying up into the air. We watch the door of the Silver Lance pop open. You can see Frank hop out first, and he begins to funnel some of the Winston pharmaceutical crates. Maybe a few of you give him a hand. He's taking them from the cabin. He's taking them from storage. And from the Jeep, we can see a middle-aged man step out from the passenger side. And he is dressed in a Legionnaire uniform, the French Foreign Legion, khaki in color. And he kind of walks up and he approaches Frank. He approaches the plane, and we can see he's got this heavy, thick brown mustache. And you can see he's got a few other people that are coming with him. And there's like this exchange of crates. And as all of you start to climb down from the plane itself, you are hit by this acrid heat. And there's a humidity to it coming off the Red Sea. And when you look up, you recognize the face. Some of you more familiar than others. Some of you might have different reactions, but you see the man in this Legionnaire uniform, and you know him by the name of Captain Louis Moreau, who you spent time with at New Year's back in Casablanca, who nearly broke into a fist fight with Will, and tried to dance with Bev a bit as well. Mm-hmm. But he looks to you all as you're climbing down and the heat is hitting you. And he says, "Welcome to Djibouti." And he kind of comes up and he starts shaking hands. And How was your flight?
It was rough.
Went as well as it could. It's been a long few days.
Yes, air travel can be very difficult for those of a poor constitution. And he looks at you, and you can tell like there's a grin he wants to have, but he doesn't seem to release it. And he kind of peers for a second at Patrick, because at first glance, Patrick, you don't look probably like yourself. Like, I'm sorry, sir, you look familiar, but I cannot place it.
Do I now? Have we met?
Yes, yes. Oh, you look different. You grew your mustache. And remember, you had a mustache. He had a mustache. And he's like, you look far more rugged, not the dashing, clean-cut man I remember.
People been saying that lately.
Yeah, I see. Well, let me say, first of all, thank you so very much. The Legion thanks you and the Winston Pharmaceutical Company for your generous donations. Now I have been instructed to liaison with you during your time here and help you get what it is you need. Please make sure to extend to Mr. Winston Rogers our appreciation for the medical aids and supplies. I'm sure you are quite exhausted. I have made arrangements, if you will, at the Hotel de la Merlouche, if you would like to freshen up, change your clothes, maybe get a rest. I would recommend that you take a day or so to acclimate before we leave here. If you have any questions, my legionnaires would be more than happy to assist you.
Excellent. Sounds perfect. You would make a great valet. Maybe when you leave the Legion, you'll have a nice profession there. Which way were we going? This way?
You can see that all of the Legionnaires who are picking up crates put them down, and without Moreau having to say anything, begin surrounding you. And Moreau just sort of shakes his head and he steps a little closer to you. Oh, Monsieur Sawyer, your witty repartee is so very refreshing. You are not in Casablanca any longer. You are here because we have extended a hand of an offering, you should say. We have made arrangements with your financier. But do not think that allows you anything short of utter respect for those here who have not abandoned their post, who have not abandoned their brothers in arms.
I am so sorry. I come from a very rural farm, and being a valet, like you get to live in the big city around rich folk. It's a great career. I meant no offense in the slightest.
He steps a little closer, right into his face. It's getting a little dangerous. He's like, there are some who will recognize you, Monsieur Sawyer. It's best for you and for everyone that they do not. So while you are here, you will follow my orders. You know nothing of this place. You know nothing of these people. You know nothing of the evils that threaten this place each day. One misstep here, and people die. Sometimes they die even without a misstep. So, if putting a bullet in your head will prevent someone of value from losing their life, make no mistake, I will see it done. Do we understand each other?
I love to follow orders. It's why I joined the Legion in the first place. And if you tell me to jump, I will say how high.
So he turns over. Legionnaire, please put Mr. Sawyer in manacles and take him to the brig. He will not be joining us on our travels. He will be remanded into custody. I'm very sorry, Dr. Key, but
Such insubordination, such unseriousness will not serve any of us well where we are going. If this man cannot even show proper decency to respected legionnaires who are here to ensure his and your safety throughout the travels in the desert, I will not have him on our trip. He endangers us all.
Will apologize immediately.
And they're putting him in manacles.
I'm sorry. Like I said, if you tell me to jump, I'll jump.
Bit of a problem for us. We're gonna need him.
Will you now?
We absolutely will. There are so few of us, and we need all of the assistance that we can. And Will is such a strapping boy, and whatever would we do without everyone's assistance that we need? This would be so much more dangerous if he were not with us.
See, like his brow funnels a little bit. I think I have a picture of him, by the way. I never shared it. I'm going to share it with you all. You can see his brow funnel just a little bit as you're saying this, as both of you are saying this. It's one where you can tell he's like sympathetic, but at the same time, like it's a type of like head shaking that comes from a person who knows so much more than you do. And he's like, it's like he feels bad for how idiotic what you're saying is, but he's not, you know what I mean?
So she doesn't really know necessarily, but she does believe that like we really need all of the muscle that we can get, and whatever would we ladies do if we didn't have strapping young men to help us here?
Miss Wynn, we have arranged for myself, Legionnaires Dubois and Lefebvre. The three of us, along with mechanics, will be accompanying you for some time. I can assure you we are all infinitely more capable of helping you navigate the dangers of the terrain. Mr. Sawyer here, in his witty repartee, while that might be humorous around a campfire, will certainly get him killed, if not by the local afar, who have not such a humorous reputation, or by the Italians themselves, or perhaps he will just wander off one night into the desert and we will not see him again. I would rather we just nip this in the bud right here.
I can certainly appreciate why, good sirs, you would think that. Having spent some time with him, though, there are things that he knows about the work that we are going to do here. So it is not just the muscle and ability to fight, as it were, but the information that he knows is truly invaluable. And I might say that perhaps we can, what is the saying, kick this down the road, as it were. And perhaps when we have completed our business, if you all have not found a way to come to some type of, can we call it a truce for now? Do the business that we need to do with all of the assets that we have available to us. And perhaps at the end of things, if there is a payment still to be made, that would be the time for settling up.
Go ahead and roll like a persuasion. Sounds like you're doing a persuade.
Yeah. I was not going the charm direction with that one.
No, you didn't
I
sound
was so
like it.
excited to roll. All right.
Okay. Critical fail.
Yes.
They shoot
Don't
me on
mess
the
it up.
spot.
Got a 73 in persuade, and I rolled a 58. So that is a success.
Okay.
Nice.
So he thinks his brow furrows, kind of sort of brings his hand up and sort of scratches his mustache for a second. Madame, where we are going, there are no roads. But you have made an impression pity for this cretin. I do not know, Mr. Sawyer, how you have managed to convince all of these well-intentioned people that you have any value, but it appears you have. And he kind of motions to like the legionnaires who are putting manacles, and they kind of undo them at this point.
But once we have left the comfort of Djibouti, if he even expresses a thought that is stray, if he makes a joke that we find offensive, if he hesitates to listen when I say to go this way or that, we will shoot him. And that is all there is to it.
He did say that if you told him to jump, he would ask how high, and I believe he is sincere in this.
But there was a turn to it.
Yes. And as she looks at Will, she just says, if nothing nice can be said, nothing will be said at all. Yes?
Captain, I look forward to the chance to prove to you that I do have value.
Monsieur Sawyer, I like you so much more when you are quiet.
And then at this point, Beverly will just she grabs her things. Well, you are right. It is unbearably hot. Can we continue to speak about our journey?
Of course. We have to attend to the delivery here first. I have, and he kind of motions to one of these legionnaires to start loading up your bags into one of the jeeps.
Mm-hmm.
And they will drive you over to Hotel de la Marouche. We have made arrangements for you to stay, and you can get your rest. If you would be interested, Jean and Pierre and myself, we will be at Café de la Gare later this evening if you would like to get drinks, if you would like supper. And we have much to discuss about the journey ahead.
I agree.
Drinks. I'm in.
Excellent. Yes.
I believe you still owe me a dance, if I recall. And then at that, she'll just kind of smile and then head over towards the Jeep.
And he grins and turns his back on Will at that point, kind of stepping in the way of Will as Will tries to follow. But nonetheless,
Will's been carrying books for Beverly anyway, so he would just grab her bags and carry them to the Jeep.
Okay.
Playing the
All right.
submissive part.
So if there's nothing else you wanted to do on the landing strip, anything else you wanted to say, you all will load into the Jeep. You will, the driver will, kind of greet you. You can tell, not French, he kind of sounds like maybe something Eastern European, Polish maybe. You're not sure if he even speaks English, but he kind of waves to you and says hello, but doesn't really follow it up with anything else. But he starts driving you around. And now Djibouti City specifically, it's a colonial port town. And as you're driving around, you can definitely see that there is a French military presence, as you might expect. But you pass by what looks like there's a very clustered waterfront. There's various markets, but you can see that there are many places where there are people of kind of more local garb that seem to be sort of trading. You can see what looks like there's not a whole lot of cars or anything like that. It's really the only real vehicles you see are the ones that are much like your own, these militaries. But you do notice that there are other people like yourself that seem to be not necessarily with the French Foreign Legion, but also clearly not regional. But it's not a big city, but it's not a small city. So it's probably, it's a city on the rise, effectively, right? So lots of limestone. You can see colonnades. There's vendors shouting. You can see people who are trying to sell woven mats and tapestries. You can see incense smoke kind of wafting through some of the markets as you slowly drive through them. And he kind of calls out to get people to clear. You can see goats and such kind of being led in front of you, and everything's kind of very bustling. But eventually he will take you to what looks to be a hotel. And he kind of turns to you, the driver, and you can tell it's almost like he's reciting, this is your hotel. Rooms have been arranged under Winston. You are free to explore, but the outer regions
stay away. And then he's like waiting to see that you're confirming. And then he kind of gets out and he like kind of gets your belongings and he kind of brings you inside this hotel. And any one of you that speaks French, you will do fine here, as you can realize that this is definitely a French-run hotel. As like a bellhop and a manager, a hotel manager, as you kind of make your as you kind of talk, like everything's been arranged already. And Frank has stayed back behind as he usually does to sort of take care of the plane and whatnot, and to deal with the business of the Winston Pharmaceuticals. But you are led eventually to your rooms. You probably pair up a little bit. The rooms are fairly nice. Lots of like cracked stucco. You can see there's these rusted ceiling fans that are kind of going around, a little patinaed here and there. It is extremely hot. So when the fans kind of hit you, you finally get a little bit of coolness. In the lobby, you pass through like groups of people that like tobacco smoke. You can see that are just sort of wafting up into the air. You can see that it looks like some uniform folks as well, but otherwise, it seems to be it seems to be more of a kind of a foreigner kind of hotel, right? And you all can sort of make whatever adjustments you want to make. So you have a couple hours essentially at your disposal. You're welcome to meet together and talk about steps. You're welcome to explore, or we can skip ahead. So I'm going to throw it over to you. What do you think you all would want to do or would be doing when you first arrive at this hotel?
I would say just getting our feet wet, so to speak, with the local area, with how far away we are from kind of where we're kind of eventually trying to head. We jumped right the hell in Bangkok and just trying to take it slow and just get a good lay of the land, get a good sense of the geography, what's been going on here, and those kinds of things.
Okay. So would we say that it's fair to say that you all meet in a room or meet downstairs to sort of come together? Is that a fair thing, or do other people have other ideas?
Yeah, I'd say we
Downstairs at the bar, hotel
come
bar.
together.
Sure, we can say there's a hotel bar. No problem. Okay. So let's resolve this. Bev, one of the things you said you were doing over the last couple of months was digging into the heirs research, right? Let's go ahead and actually mechanically resolve that. So give me a library use roll.
Okay.
We'll talk a little bit about what you were able to uncover.
90.
Oh dear.
I'll spend
luck.
the luck that I need to pass that.
Only
Okay.
3. So close.
I'll spend spend the 3.
Nice.
All right. All right. Wait. You're at 87? That damn girl.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when you first looked through George Ayres' research, when you collected it from UCLA, you know that it was a lot of the things that it wasn't all of his research, but it was just the research that he didn't take with him to Africa. Because all of you would know that George Ayres was in Echeverria's circle back in the early 1920s. And he was involved in this cult, right? And he at some point left for the Horn of Africa, basically. But he did leave behind a lot of notes and journals and things like that. You had quickly skimmed this, and you had, without doing any deep dive study of it, and you knew that his research effectively was concerned with Golgoroth. It was one of the first times you've really read about that term. And there was other names that you've now heard it from, going back to even your conversation with Edgar Job in Savannah. Golgoroth, Fisher from Outside, Liar from Beyond. And you know that Jonathan Brooks in Mexico City was particularly insistent on Golgoroth. And the earliest notes that you saw were basically that he thought these different names were all the same entity, that they were all these aren't separate creatures. They're all the same. And Edgar Jobs kind of theorized that as well. And he had also generally theorized that Golgoroth was some kind of herald or harbinger of maybe a bigger creature. So that was some of the other details. As you dig further into it, you realize that a lot of his notes in here, it's not just his research, but it's also some recounting of different interactions. So there's a lot of stuff about Echeverria. And in those notes, he said that like sometime in around 1922 or so, George Ayres, he said he had kind of like a eureka moment. And effectively, he started ranting and believing that Echeverria had some kind of grand betrayal, is what he called it. And he said that the cult was a sham of lives. And the general conclusion, Bev, that you would have been able to come to was that he thought that none of the rites that Echeverria was performing or kind of pushing the cult to had anything to do with Golgoroth at all. And there was even, and he said like, there was even one line that maybe you underlined or highlighted where he said, "Let the forgotten God remain forgotten. Echeverria has shamed the true glory of the liar from beyond by cloaking it in the false shroud of the bloated one." And then you also notice, though, that just within a few weeks, his tone, his tenor seemed to change, almost like a complete 180. And it looks as though it was around that time that Ramon brought him into the inner circle. And so he revealed, and he specifically said that Ramon had revealed some great truth and that it kind of pierced through some of the lies. And he also said that Ramon had proven himself worthy of the liar, capital L. And so there's like this inner circle that started to form. And he believes that like when he confronted Echeverria, that his worship was not exactly what it was said to be. Like Echeverria more or less kind of confided in some ways that was true. The other thing that you found, and this is probably most relevant to where you're at now, is that you saw that he had a lot of correspondence with someone by the name of Bartolo Acuna, a Spanish academic from a university in Madrid. And it looks as though their correspondence definitely seemed to underscore that Ayres had this kind of obsession with finding the truth of the liar, sort of the phrase that kept kind of coming up to him. He's very obsessed with that concept. And through like this exchange, this correspondence, you know that you're not getting the full picture because he clearly brought much of the material with him, but you have like the remnants of something. And so there's scraps that essentially that Ayres was apparently doing something in response to this correspondence, and that kind of hinted at some broader thing. So in short, basically what you were able to learn was that Bartolo Acuna had done some work translating a rare book of some kind, and that he had discovered that previous translations had been plagued with very serious errors, and that some new scholarship allowed him to discover an ancient site of devotion for a deity worshipped through orgiastic rituals. Rituals not unlike some of the sex cult stuff that you saw in Los Angeles. And so there are four things, Bev, that probably led you and got you all here. One, the site was located at a village called Dalol in Ethiopia. That was number one. The second was that Ramon Echeverria had a book in his possession which Ayres was able to use to either confirm or supplement Acuna's discoveries. The third thing was that Ayres recognized broad similarities between, like I said, the rites that Echeverria and his followers were performing and the rites that this Bartolo Acuna had discovered. And this is now then how he transitioned into planning an expedition to this site in Dalol, Ethiopia. So that is the poured over thing. In answer to your question of how far you're away, you're quite the ways away. You landed in Djibouti, which is a different place entirely. Yeah. However, it's 1937. And 1937 spring in Ethiopia and Eritrea has been beset by some very serious, some aggressive Italian fascist posturing, but even massacring now. And so the safest route in, the friendlier route in, was Djibouti, which is French controlled, and you happen to have connections to the French Foreign Legion. So that is why you are here. And that is why you didn't try to like precisely follow the route of errors. Otherwise, you would be landing in Italian-controlled airports that might not even let you land at all. Okay, there's a lot of monologuing there for me. So
I imagine in this moment, Bev is kind of updating all of us on kind of all of that information as we're
and then like, because we also previously have like a copy of George Ayers' like travel itinerary, and she's kind of explaining why we're going this way instead of following the exact route that he took, and how, you know, he originally landed in 1924. That's when he came here. So it is significantly behind in years, so who knows what we'll find of him. But we do know he was also slated to return in July of 1924, and he never did. And that
returned to UCLA. He never came back. Exactly.
Yeah. And then also in the travel itinerary, she does point out to that he was being introduced to Bartolo Acuna, like that in July of 1924. That was on the itinerary by the company that had planned this for him, as well as, and then she points out what little correspondence we do have and how, you know, he was also an archaeologist. And this is another like site, like what we had heard was being discovered in Merida. But, you know, so that's also an interesting thing, is that now there's this whole other site. So that might move Merida up on our to-do list later once we're done with this location.
Yeah. So like big things, Bartolo Acuna, like you have a name, George Ayers, you have a name, Dalot, you have a village location name, and you know that there was some kind of dig site, right? So these are some of the things that, and plus your own scholarly research about some of the Afar people here. Like you saw it as like almost an afterthought in a travel log from someone who had traveled through the region about hearing like a piece of folklore about some kind of some sort of ritual, right? And those are all the little breadcrumbs that have kind of led you all here.
So if this Ayers fellow is still alive, he might be in with Echeverria.
I mean, it's more as in Savitri, where, you know, they're looking for the truth.
Seems like Savitri cracked the code a bit. She figuring out there's lies being told.
Yeah, I believe a bit more than, at least from what we have, than George. But
let's check out the locale, see if we could find a way up there. To Masawa? Seems like where it was.
Oh, you want to visit?
What was in the itinerary? I believe that was a location from the itinerary. I think that might be different from the location, Dr. Key, that you've discovered in your research.
Yeah, we do know the site is in Dalal, but when he was slated to meet Bartolo Acuna, that was in Masua. I think that's how you say it.
Which
Masawa?
is a city. Yeah, it's like pronounced like a W. But that is an Italian, like essentially at this point in time, like anything in that area where heirs would have gone through is effectively controlled by Italy. And you would know, historically speaking, that it is this year especially, the beginning of 1937, has been extraordinarily bloody, and there are very high tensions. So the idea of just random Americans flying in, not that America and Italy have any particularly negative relationships at this point, but you would know that paranoia would be high and they would not necessarily be able to get granted. You would have to go through a significant amount of like diplomatic pull to get a reason for landing in that site. However, coming here was much easier. It does mean that you have a very lengthy overland travel, but you also have French Foreign Legion people who are a little bit more familiar with the terrain.
So we'll get to know the area for now, I think.
Okay.
Yes, it is very sad. All of the fighting and massacring and everything that has been going on and just turning this state of our world upside down. We've been in danger in other places that we've been, but this is quite a whole other level and layer of politics and whatnot that will put us in harm's way. Very much so. Marie also wanted to kind of look at Bev, if I'm imagining that maybe you kind of have some things out on the table a little bit as we're kind of looking through some things. And I believe in the itinerary, there was kind of a small note on the side. There was a particular, I believe, company that was sort of like a travel company that Ayers had been working with. Cox and Kings Limited, I believe, may have been the name that had been in the documentation. And there was a post office box, I believe, that was in Masawa. And so that might be something while we're still here. If we believe that there's some, when we get to a place that we think a postal service of some type might be functioning, to try to send a note along to that post office box and just see if there might be anyone there who might be able to respond. So it's one of those things that'll take a while to, kind of pen a letter and then see if, kind of any type of response comes back.
You know that there is a train. However, the train that essentially runs I would say that you all have no idea about so what I guess what I would say is you guys are very unfamiliar with what's even available to you. So like whether that's even an option for you. So it's the type of thing that you would probably have to like ask around. And again, you have resources in the area of people who might be able to answer some of those questions for you.
Maybe that's part of what we do tonight is we do go around to figure out like what resources we have available to us in forms of like communication, direction gathering, info on Dalal, like if we could uncover anything about that.
Yeah, just definitely easing in, just kind of gathering some information, geographical and other such things.
Okay, so you have a couple hours. It is still daytime. You're welcome to explore. Anybody who doesn't speak French is going to have a lot of difficulty. There's not many people here that are going to be speaking English. And so, but there will be people here speaking French. So you will probably be able to do that. Arabic to some degree would help you as well. But those are probably the two ones would be with most functional if you have those. So keep that in mind. And then that's that. So what do you think you all would be doing? And then again, you were invited to dinner with your Legionnaire pals. What do you think you all would be doing in the hours leading up to that?
Shyma does speak French, so I'm happy to go along with anybody to translate as needed.
Yeah, I think Shyma does, and somebody else does too.
I do as well.
Patrick.
And Will.
Oh, wait, 3 people.
Will, amazing.
Well, look at that.
Well, 21, iffy.
Oh, so you suck at it. But Patrick and Shyma, I think, are pretty good.
I'm not Latin. That much more than 20.
No. Will sucks. That's just the thesis of tonight.
Sure.
So just so I have a kind of idea where we're at, am I kind of thinking of it like it's like a military occupied town, or is it like an actual
Djibouti?
like Air Force base?
Djibouti's fine. Like Djibouti is essentially French colonial. Like this is a safe space for you all.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's not to say that you all would necessarily suffer in any particular way from like Italian fascism right now, but it would potentially raise questions. They have historically, as I linked to you all earlier, the historical documents to help you situate yourself in the historical seance of what's going on right now. You would know that just a couple months ago, there was a horrific massacre that took place in essentially like northern Ethiopia, and that and effectively that has ratcheted up tensions. So it's 1937, and like I was saying to you all in our notes, like World War II is looming, and like these Italian fascists you see here are effectively, these are sort of Mussolini's people. It's Granziani who is like the head of sort of Eritrea and whatnot, right? And like there was an assassination attempt, I think late 1936, and that's like, so tensions are crazy high. So again, the reason you landed here was because it's safe and because you actually know people, shockingly enough, in the French Foreign Legion. And not only that, but your heiress financier arranged to have French Foreign Legion assistance in whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of, if you look at our map, you can see on our little landing site, I give you a little Horn of Africa map where Djibouti is, and then you can see where like Eritrea is. You're a lengthy ways away.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, there's things that you just wouldn't know yet because you guys are literally landing in a country you've never been in, and you don't really know anything.
I'd head out to the marketplace, maybe figure out how people dress, kind of survive the heat here.
Okay. All right. Anyone going with Patrick?
We will go.
Okay. Anybody else?
Will has another idea.
Okay.
All right, let's wander around a bit and meet up with the French Foreign Legion later.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I definitely agree.
Bev would go then too, just to get out and meet the locals and get lay of the land.
Okay.
If they are doing that, is Frank at our hotel or is he?
You don't have access to Frank this adventure. I'm sorry to say. Yeah, I said in the notes in the Discord, like you wouldn't have access really to him. I mean, you would. I would say probably while you're in Djibouti, you could potentially talk to him, but he wouldn't be doing anything more than just staying here and keeping an eye on the plane.
That's totally fine. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Will, you said you had an idea?
Yeah, Will wants to build bridges. So he would like to go to our French Foreign Legion friends and eat some humble pie and offer to do some work for them, whatever they would need.
Okay. All right. Let me think on that for a second. Yeah. So Will heads out to like a barrack or one of the command posts
preferably
for
where
Legion.
Like the people that we're assigned to, specifically to build some relationships.
Okay. Okay. So where would Shyma be headed? What do you think Shyma would be doing there, Maitreyi?
Is there a reason to not join you, Will? Like, are you looking to go alone?
I'm just probably going to be shoveling shit for the afternoon. There's no reason for you to join me.
Yeah, I'll go with the rest of the marketplace.
Okay. So 4 of you go spend some time in some of these markets, getting the lay of the land, seeing what it's like, seeing what's available. And Will goes to the French Foreign Legion, one of these offices, to see if he could offer his services as something. For those of you who head out, you find a very bustling city, and especially when you get down to the port. So when you kind of get down there, we're like on the Red Sea basically, and you can see that it's somewhat cramped, narrow alleyways and such, but you can tell like there is a vibrance here, right? And there is a humidity. There's like a thickness to the heat coming off the water, and then with all these people surrounding you, and so there's just like you can feel a heat here that's just sort of punishing you in ways, having come from freaking Massachusetts in winter. Like the stark contrast is something to behold. But you do find that there are many traders, locals. You could see, if you're looking specifically, Patrick, at like what people are wearing, you can tell like there's a lot of like flowing robes. You can see people there are some that are some folks you see moving about, kind of wearing no footwear at all. Others wearing sandals. You can see there's definitely a lightness to the clothes of some kind. Men are, you can tell, most likely wearing somewhat thin and relatively kind of baggy pants. Some of them barely goes below the knees. Some of them are wearing very long shirts that actually go much longer than just the waist and kind of hang down. You can see that women are often wearing light wraps and such. But even the men and the women are often wearing some kind of sort of scarf or some kind of cloth around their shoulders, around their necks, some of which you can see are kind of wrapped up. If there's dust kicking up, others you can see don't. And so you see a lot of that. Very rarely do you all spot anyone dressed how you all are dressed. You can see that there are off-duty legionnaires that are moving about, all of them dressed in some kind of khaki uniform. Down by the ports, or excuse me, down like by the train, you can even see that there are like kind of groups of other people kind of waiting around as well, that you can see look like more like laborers and such. You can see there's stevedores and things by some of the ships that are coming and going as well. Now, is there any particular information you're looking to recover here? Or if there's anything you're looking to do, or is this just more just going out and kind of getting a feel for the place?
Kind of interested in the clothing. Like maybe it'll give me more cover, kind of like silence my mouth, just of all the layers or the robes that I have to put on.
Okay. So if that's the case, you're going to give me 2 rolls, Patrick. The first is going to be a luck test to see if your mouth, keeps it quiet as you go and try to purchase something. And the second, I would say, just give me a French test.
Luck is a 49. I failed.
So close. 49 over 46.
And for French, 16. That's a hard success.
So I'll say in one of these markets, you can hear the sounds of people calling out wares. Salt. You can see there's these, what you learn as you're here are salt caravans that are coming in. You realize salt is an extremely important resource. You can see that there's also people that are loading onto the backs of donkeys and other pack animals, huge casks of water as you think they're preparing for travel. Again, you see almost no vehicle other than maybe a stray group of French officers, either the Foreign Legion or French colonial officers, something like that. But as you are in this marketplace and you're negotiating and you're trying to get what looks like a relatively accurate set of clothing, as you kind of maybe point to the man behind the counter and that, and he's showing you fabrics and things. Your mouth, not the one in your face, but the one on your arm, suddenly goes, and he starts, and you can see he leans back as there's this terrible hissing sound, and you see this projection of spit and venom and bile that flies out of its mouth and lands on this table, soiling all sorts of his fabric. And he is first he's terrified, but then he starts yelling at you, and you can see he's switching, between, he's yelling at you mostly in French, but it's limited, and then he kind of breaks into his own language, and you can see it's starting to make a scene. And so people are starting to come over and look at you, other people waiting and looking. What do you do?
Grab my arm. Sorry. I'll throw down just a wad of cash and just grab whatever fabric you picked up.
Okay, so you just throw down a wad of money, and then you just grab the fabric and run. Okay.
Yeah, already picked out, yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Bev, Shyma, and Marie. You see people start coming after, and even the vendor starts shouting after, and then Shyma, you would recognize this. The word for thief kind of calls out at this point. And you can see those other people kind of start getting into this call, hey, thief. And you see a few people are kind of calling out to some legionnaires walking by, and they're looking around, and you can see a few of them are kind of eating some kind of canned food. But Shyma, you hear thief. What do you guys do?
I'll relate in English to Dr. Gay and Marie. They think he's a thief. They think he stole.
And Marie, sorry, go ahead, Beth.
You go ahead.
So Marie would go to where the money was kind of thrown down.
Okay.
And she'll kind of hand it to Shyma and say, tell them he paid. And so Marie will kind of put the cash in Shyma's hands since she speaks French.
And
Yeah, see if this
that's
is
what I'm
enough or if
gonna
we need
try
to pay
do.
more.
And I will ask, like, what else do we owe you? I'm so sorry he's sick.
Okay. Shyma, give me give me some sort of social test. Like, it could be persuade, it could be persuade, it could be
Can
fast
I do
talk.
persuade with, and can I take do we have audience dice for me to take one? Because I'm at 37.
Melissa's in charge of that. I don't know what we're at there.
Yes.
Yeah, we got 28.
Okay, sweet. So I'll be rolling under 47.
Okay. It's a 57.
Bummer.
I'll
10
spend
luck?
the luck. I'll spend luck, yeah.
So a couple of these legionnaires come over and they're like, what is it? What is this problem? This thief? And that's when you like interject, Shyma. You give like this extra, you give the wad of whatever bills. I like to think it's American USD because that feels like a Patrick thing, you know? Honestly, if it was bills at this day, like, there would be a lot of money actually. So you kind of hand it over, or maybe Bev or Marie or Shyma, one of you like are able to pull out from your own purses and calm the merchant down. And then you can see the merchant like takes it and he's like, misunderstanding. What was that sound? He says. You can see the merchant is kind of looking at the three of you. What was that? And then
Shyma
motions
starts
down.
to say something and then stops.
The doctors aren't sure. They're researching it.
So sorry. So sorry.
Legionnaires are kind of looking at you like, is everything all right here? Is this good?
Yes.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, au revoir. And they start moving away.
Yeah.
At that point.
And we have to go to a different store to get our stuff because we're not going to bug this poor man anymore.
All right. And you pay him a little extra because like the spit like covered whatever it was, like more than what Patrick was probably going to buy. We cut to Will for a second. So Will, you make it to some sort of French Legion like that. Like you find a post. Okay. You go in and you can see like every one of these dudes is like rough and tumble, you know, every single one of them. Like they're all like, you could tell like sunburned, hardened. Not all of them are clean shaven. Some of them are, but a lot of them have scruff of some kind. But every one of them that you look at, you can tell like they feel like an old catcher's mitt. Like they are just sturdy. And you come in and you see this one man. He's got like a kind of a combed over black hair, but it's a little dusty. You can tell he's got his khaki uniform on. There is the spinning fan overhead. And he says, bonjour, what is it I can do for you?
Hello. Yes. So Captain Louis Moreau, he's working
Louis?
with. Yeah. He's working for a few
American. They all laugh as you mispronounce the guy's name. Continue.
Louis. He's working with Winston Rogers Pharmaceutical.
Louis.
Louis. Yeah, Louis. Captain Louis.
Yes.
And
Captain.
He's working with Winston Rogers. Captain Moreau. That is what I said. I thought I said that. I'm mistaken. Anyways, he's working with pharmaceutical to offer a detail of people to just help us with the local area. And I just wanted to make sure, you know, that we weren't putting all the work on you. You know, I wanted to make sure that we were covering our end, you know, when it comes to mounts or horses or even stabling. I just wanted to put some work in, you know, make sure that we're pulling our weight too.
You want to work?
Yeah. Put me to work.
What skills do you have?
I got a strong back. I know how to pull a shovel.
First of all, you do not pull a shovel. That is inappropriate. It doesn't. Why would you pull a shovel? And they like shout like some French at each other. And they're like, no, that does not sound right. That is that's not how the tool is used. You stab it and then you like lift it up. But pull it, I would not use it. You pull a rope.
Absolutely
of
pull
course.
a shovel. I dug trenches for years and years in real life. Okay, you pull a shovel.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's accepted
Point of
phrasing to pull a shovel. I'm not arguing over whether or
I've
not
dug
there might
literally
not be
miles of
situations.
trenches.
Yes, but yet somehow you use this pull.
It's an
It's
American.
Americans in their language.
Americans. Well, we don't need any trenches, Doug.
I'm sure you got stables that need cleaned, right?
Well, yes, we do. If you are so inclined, yes.
Yeah, sure. If it helps out good old Captain Moreau, that's all I care about.
And what is your name?
Will
Will
Sawyer.
Sawyer. Will Sawyer. What was the name of that man? What was it? Give me a luck test, Will.
Tom Ford.
My luck is
Tom
so
Ford.
high right now.
You're Tom Ford.
I can't build
He
bridges
forgot.
under a different name.
Oh.
Okay, so my luck is 24 and I rolled a 73.
It was Will Sawyer. Yes. You are Will Sawyer. Oh, yes, Captain Moreau. He warned us about you. He said you possibly would come here looking to what is the phrase? What is it? Kiss
ass. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's why I'm here.
And he said that we either should not listen to anything you have to say, for you are a liar and you are a cheat. But if you are willing
I
to...
never cheat.
Yeah. Well, if you are willing to pull a shovel, we perhaps have some work for you.
Of course. I start rolling up my sleeves.
And so they lead you. So he calls somebody over and they lean you. You essentially are sent out to effectively clean out what look to be like various like pack animals. It's mostly like donkeys and things. It doesn't look like they have camels, but you do see some around, no doubt. But they are mostly like this big stable of like these sturdy donkeys. And it doesn't look like this place has been cleaned out in quite some time. And so I'm going to say, Will, if you could please give me a Constitution test as you spend some time.
That's fair. Constitution is 60.
Yeah.
That's a bad roll. That's an 86. I don't even have enough luck to pass it. Could I push though?
No.
I could push,
Of
right?
course you could. Absolutely,
yeah, I'm gonna push.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fun. This is
You
fun.
fail.
This is worth pushing. What
I
else?
know
would be worth
exactly
pushing?
where you're. I know exactly what's going to happen if you fail too.
I got a 28, which is a
Okay.
hard success.
I was going to get you. You were going to get sick. You were going to get an infection, and then you were going to be in the medical tents, delaying the departure.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay. So we see this montage of Will just like lifting this up, lifting that, and like, and you're shoveling stuff, you're putting it in like wheelbars, you're like bringing it out to some sort of like pit that they've dug to disperse with it. In some cases, like you're repurposing it because you can see that there's some that are coming by who want some of this, kind of repurpose it as some kind of like fertilizer or whatever. And you spend the whole day doing this, and you just get covered in donkey shit. Okay. All right. Anybody else have any specific things that they were looking to do before dinner with the Legionnaires?
Marie is a pale redhead, so she is going to do her best not speaking French to kind of go up to maybe like if there's a woman working in some type of store or something for clothing, and so she's just going to kind of like realizing that they don't speak the same language, just sort of point to the sun and pull her hair color and her skin. And just she's looking for, something to kind of help her with shade, sort of like longer sleeves and, that kind of a thing. Because Marie's clothing, being in Chicago and, Massachusetts, wouldn't necessarily have thin, long sleeve clothes.
Okay. I don't think, honestly, you guys are just shopping for clothes. There's no real difficulty other than Patrick's mouth going off. The rest of you wouldn't have any issues whatsoever. Like some slight communication problems here and there, but you point, you show money, and like it's a universal understanding that you're looking to purchase whatever it is. So that wouldn't be any particular any issue. At a certain point, though, as you guys are, you do hear the sounds of like distant bells going off, and you can see that above some of these limestone, coral stone buildings and such. You can see that there's some that stick up a little bit higher. You would know that there is a significant Muslim population, so like calls to prayer, basically, as you kind of hear that ringing out, and you can see that some people in the market and others they retreat and they find they kind of close up a stall or this or that and kind of hurry off. And you can see some of the streets become less busy as this happens, the sun coming down a little bit at this time. But as you're moving about, like you see people that are like they're tall, slender, dark of skin. Many of them are kind of wrapped in the colorings that you've seen. Some of those colors, they're not necessarily always the most vibrant. Some are a little bit more earth colors, and then festooned in other places. You can see many of them are they have like some sort of unique special kind of knife on a belt here that when the gust of wind comes and you kind of stumble around when the wind hits you, it hits you like it's almost like a lash. And like you can see like they kind of take some of their clothes and lifts it up a bit, and you can see like on their belts are these knives and such. And you can see like all of the French Foreign Legion. It is a motley crew of men, but you do see moving with them various like civilian workers. You can see medical workers, and so you do see a mix here and there of men and women coming in and out. You could definitely tell they're, again, the salt traders. They're coming in with these huge camels, and maybe it might be the first time, other than Will, maybe Shyma, that you guys have ever seen camels before up close. I would think. For sure. They are assholes. So they are very, very, and you can see they're doing things.
Camels are fucking the worst. They are
exactly
so terrible.
They're assholes. And so all of that is sort of happening. Okay, so is there any other
like the meanest, most belligerent horse, and then times 100?
They just got such an attitude. They're the
so
Geico
mean.
Yeah, they are. Well, Steven shared the Geico commercial.
Hump Day.
The camel. Hump Day. Literally top 5 commercial of all time for me. That's stupid.
True.
It's like, guess what day it is? It's Wednesday. Hump Day. I love it so much. I will watch it.
Such a good commercial.
It makes me so happy.
Why does Geico like Wednesdays though? That's what I don't get.
Hump Day. Stupid mouth movement. Okay. Was there anything else that you wanted to do as you were just sort of getting the lay of the land? Or do you want to, are we fast forwarding to dinner, supper?
Just kind of narratively, if it was possible, Shyma is even more quiet than she normally is, just like typically. And she is doing that like hunching thing that again used to be fairly difficult for her. So she's visibly receiving, but isn't saying anything, but she's very definitely kind of maybe regressing in some ways.
Mm-hmm. And Shyma, I think one thing you might notice too that maybe the others don't pick up on as much is there, and amongst some of the local population, not any of these officers, these French colonialists, but you start to notice that there is kind of a common thread. There's some scarification. You can see many of them, like whether it's on faces or arms, and you can see even there's a few coming in some of the trade packs that kind of come into the markets or leave, or some of the laborers. You can see maybe it's just maybe it's always been there and you're just now noticing it. But you can see people like yourself who, like a man picking up a crate and carrying it with another set of stevedores, and you can see that on one side of the crate is his hand, on the other side you don't see a hand, you see like the rounded stump, but he's having no trouble. And then you can see over in a different place, a woman behind a stall who is selling. Maybe it's even the very one that sold Marie her clothes. You can see a woman stand up, and you almost don't even notice it at first. But when she kind of fetches something that Marie asks for and comes back, you can tell that she's limping. And you realize it's because about halfway down below her knee, It stops and you don't see anything. You just see like, and she's kind of using some kind of rudimentary kind of cane and using like the countertops of her stall to kind of move around. And again, no issues whatsoever moving. And these are just things that are just like you're seeing it left and right all over Shyma. Maybe it's just something that kind of catches your attention even more.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna file that information away for now. I'm not
for sure
gonna do anything with it. But it's definitely catching my eye, especially because you wrote back in Arkham, she doesn't know a single other person with any amputated limbs.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Okay. So eventually, we'll say all of you find yourselves either through asking someone to direct you or maybe asking the Legionnaire who was assigned at your hotel to drive you over. You find yourselves getting driven over or walking over to Café de la Gare. I'm not great with rolling my R's. That R is supposed to be rolled. It's Café de la Gare, like that.
Garre.
It's Gare.
Okay.
It's like Station Cafe. It's near the train station.
Got it.
So it's shaded, but it is open air. You can see the sun has started to go down. It's still hot, but there is definitely a little bit of a reprieve in some ways. The wind has not died down, and you're getting this like warm gust of it that just hits, and like every time it smacks into you, it just feels awful. It's just, you could just feel the heaviness of it hitting you. But when you make it to the cafe, you can see it is largely filled with looks like legionnaires, off-duty colonial officers, other travelers. It seems a little bit more like it's suited for folks like yourselves. There's all sorts of like different chip tables and such. You can see some faded awnings. There's a lot of awnings you can tell in places trying to cut the heat and create shadow. Very dusty square that you're looking out from, and you can see the train station. Inside, there is like incense that is certainly covering this musky, smoky smell. Sweat is also kind of underneath there. And when you step inside, you can see off in the corner that there is like a phonograph that is sort of playing a song that sounds vaguely familiar, a little bit out of date. Marie, it's probably not necessarily something that has been too popular in the last couple of years in Arkham or in Chicago, or wherever it is that you might have performed or been at. But nonetheless, like it's a familiar kind of jazzy, kind of classical jazzy tune. And you when you sit down, you can see it kind of starts to mellow a bit. And the song gets a little quieter, and you can hear like the vague sounds of like someone singing, but you could barely hear the words. And that's when, coming up to your table and like kind of sliding a couple tables together, because these are all kind of smaller cafe style tables, you see three familiar faces. You see Captain Moreau, who you know. You see two other faces that those of you who wish to remember would remember from Casablanca. You see a young man in probably his late 20s, dark skin, large, pronounced nose. Marie, I think he tried to dance with you at one point.
We did. We danced in Casablanca.
Like a dark-skinned Haitian man. You can see another one a little bit shorter, who is the reason why Will didn't get his ass kicked in Casablanca, as he talked down Captain Moreau and said that maybe it's not the person that we think it is. Maybe it's Tom Ford. Maybe it's somebody else, right? So you all could go ahead and share a few of these with you. I got some historical photographs that I've been going through.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Very cool. Very cool.
So you can kind of see. As Legionnaire Lefebvre, a little bit shorter. You could see he's got like a mustache, and then he's got some distance, and he's got like a kind of a bushy goatee, close cropped hair, sunburned face, and seems to recognize you all, especially like Marie and Bev and Shyma, as he seems quite pleased to see the seawall. Introductions are had. Marie, you can see the young gentleman. He's probably, I don't know, 10 years younger than you, maybe, or so, something like that. You see Mr. Dubois. He greets you again, asks about you, and then everyone kind of sits at the table at this point. Drinks start coming. And like they ask some basic questions. So they're like, the last we saw you in Casablanca, what is it? They all speak French. You can see that that Jean Dubois, Haitian man, he speaks a bit of French, obviously, and then like the other guy can introduces himself as a Belgian, and they asked, so what have you been doing since then? What of your travels you were headed to? And like you can see, like one of them holds their finger up to their mouth, like they know the answer, but they don't know the answer.
Siam.
You were headed to, Siam, and how did you find it?
It was a very interesting place. It is so very nice to get out and see different cultures in the world. And Marie's giving a very fake sort of answer.
How do you mean, sir?
Trapped on an island, for fuck's sakes.
Siam is not an island. As geography lessons, I admit, not focused in the region, but you were trapped on an island. Why were you trapped on an island? You were shipwrecked?
I'll down one of the bottles. No. Bit of an underground fight club.
You are leg pulling me, sir. You said an underground fight club on an island. You fought in a club on an island. I must hear this story. You must explain it to me.
And I'll explain some of the horrors.
Okay.
Not
Do you
too much
leave the
detail, just like
supernatural stuff out? Okay.
Not the supernaturals out, just the horrors, like physical.
Okay.
Do you include Shyma in any of your stories?
If you want to be included, I'll peek over
No,
at you if
I'm
you're uncomfortable.
asking if you do.
Okay.
I would leave you out unless you interjected.
No, she is very specifically like looking away when you tell the story.
Okay. And so, like, do you tell them about going into the sewers? Do you tell them about killing people in the ring? Do you tell them about getting put on a boat and carried out to an island where you then had to fight another woman to the death? Did you explain
I want
all
them
of
to know
that?
the horrors that I went through, to know how it was.
Okay. Are you telling this in a way that you want it to be conveyed? Like, are you being like utterly serious? Or are you telling this in like an embellished kind of fish story?
No, very like
kind of
serious, like what we're kind of going to do.
Okay.
It's not easy.
Okay.
Like the kind of thing where you should be talking to a therapist, but you're here and this is who you're talking to instead.
Okay.
Drinking
Oh,
and saying all of
no.
the things out loud.
They rolled I just rolled to see how serious they would take this. And they're like, that sounds awful. Why did you, they put you in a cage in a sewer and you force people to the death? That is barbaric. That is terrible. I'm so very sorry, my friend. That is, and this, well, I'll say this is Pierre. This is Pierre de Fip. He's a Belgian. He's a kind of a shorter, squatter man. And, you have a look about you, a gaunt way. You look as though you left a piece of you behind there, perhaps.
Excuse me. And Shyma gets up and walks away from the table.
Okay. And like they all kind of get up a little bit, like do like the half get up, and then they get back and they sit back down because they're all gentlemen. I'm like, well, so he looks to Patrick and he's like, why would they do this to you?
Why would they do this to me?
Yes,
Marie will kind of pop up at this point. When you don't speak the language, unfortunately, we learned the hard way that when you don't hire a local translator and you say things and you don't know what they mean, it can get you into some troubles very, very quickly.
Mazum, we have been to many countries, and we have not known the local language, and we have never been thrown into a situation as described. We have been in war zones, and they have had more honor and dignity than Mr. Price here suffered. It's truly horrific. And I will buy you, and he kind of flags down, and, like, gets another bottle, and, like, they start pouring out one for you. Yes, we will drink to this, yes. And he starts maybe sharing his own horror story, like when I was here, and it becomes like that scene from Jaws, and they start sharing little, like, backgrounds, each one of them.
All of the stories.
All right. Anybody else got a discussion topic that you're broaching?
Will is trying to stay quiet because he knows that Captain Louis likes him more when he's quiet.
Okay. And they've been drinking, and you can see, like, they've kind of loosened up their collars a bit, and they've kind of kind of unbuttoned it a bit, and you can see like Moreau's chest hair is, like, kind of popping out. He's got this, like, manly sweat, like it's basically like Magnum PI vibes going on right now, like
Okay.
But he's not going to, like, screw over your grandmother with a reverse mortgage. But other than that, like, it's definitely giving off those vibes. And you can see he takes, like, a big drag of a cigarette and kind of puts it down to an ashtray.
Mr. Price, you were taken into a fight club in Siam, and then I see
He kind of looks over in the direction of where Shyma went.
I seem to remember that she had two hands when we met her in Casablanca. What on earth are you five into? What is this? Why are you here?
Well, as you know, we are here at the financial benefit of Winston Pharmaceuticals, their donation.
I know the story that you have had your financier convey to my superiors. I understand this story. I want to know from you. This man was nearly taken captive, forced to kill people. This poor young woman was mad. Ooh. For what reason is this? Who are you?
It's hard to believe us if we told you.
We have seen many things here, my friend. And he takes a long drag of a cigarette. We have seen many things in our time in the Legion. You would be surprised what it is we can convince ourselves to believe. I would hear your story.
Take off that wristband.
No.
Oh, this seems.
I've made a conscious choice not to show as many people as possible.
Not to. No, so my colleagues here, Dr. Key and Miss Oberon, are very learned women, and Miss Winston Rogers has sent us out to research some things that are connected to her family, and we need smart individuals that have a lot of different knowledge, like these ladies and these gentlemen, and we go to various corners of the earth that seem to have been centers of some illicit drugs and some various local religious sites, as it were. And we've been to a few different places, and now this is the most recent place on the list.
Go to these places for what purpose?
Research. We are trying to gather information.
I heard that from my superiors that you are on a research mission. What is it you are researching here?
It's not untrue. As you know, and pharmaceutical companies have interest in other types of pharmaceuticals, perhaps local grown, perhaps other such things, and the company is interested in a particular drug that's made its way to various corners of the earth. Perhaps here, have you heard at all of something called nectar?
They look at each other. You're aware of nectar. It's a sweet flavor. Comes from plants and sweetens various desserts and such. Yes.
Oh, not that
It's
nectar.
like a honey,
that is.
I think.
Yeah. Yes. Generally, and until not so long ago, that was the only thing that I thought when I thought of nectar. But in fact, nectar is also a street drug of sorts that's been making its way around the world.
A nom de plume. It is like opium.
Yeah.
But different.
What you call it. I've never heard of opium referred to as nectar, but to each
It's
their
not.
own.
It's not opium. It's different than opium, but it is, as you say, called nectar.
It's
Cocaine?
new and it's dangerous.
So you are traveling the world, going to various sites, investigating connections to your financier's family because of a dangerous drug of some
There's
kind.
more to that. It's people out here deal with unconventional religions.
Interesting. Tell me more, Mr. Price. You seem to be willing to share where others only wish to obfuscate.
If you're willing to go with us, lead us out, you must know what we're facing.
We have our orders to do very, very much that, Mr. Price, and we would like to know exactly what we are getting into, I think. If we are going to be protecting you.
I'll give him the idea of like where the sites we kind of want to reach and what
Okay.
a little bit of the craziness that
So
could
you
be
mentioned you mentioned Dalal, right?
Hmm.
It is very far away. We are aware that you are interested. There was a volcanic eruption nearly 10 years ago, I believe, in that area. I don't know if Dalal is still there or not. I've not visited myself. We have there is another village there. We have Koluli. They are friendly of sorts. We could visit perhaps and see if they are aware. It is a very long journey. Would be across the desert, the depression. It's very hot. Are you prepared for such travel?
We should be.
Well, we can leave when you are ready from Djibouti, where we will have to head northwest. We will have to skirt Lake Assal, move inward at that point. There are old CMC waypoints here where they once were occupied. We have in a far guide that we often use, Jerome. You could come with us. You will know better routes than we do. There are, as I said earlier, there are no roads to a point. But there will be a point where our vehicles would go no further. The terrain becomes insufferable. Salt rock, black rock, flats, no roads. It is camel country. We will also want to make sure we stay quiet. There is much more than heat out in the desert to concern ourselves with. I mean no disrespect, but apart from Mr. Sawyer here, I don't imagine that you all have had survival training of any kind.
Oh, absolutely not.
Not traditional.
You can see he takes a deep breath. At this point, I'm going to say one of the guys. Let's say Dubois. He gets up and he kind of seeks out. Where did Shyma go when she got up? you think?
She went to the bar.
Okay. So you go up to this like this sort of kind of got like this chipped square countertop, and like you can see these like ratty old stools that have like layers of fabric rolled over to make them a little bit easier to sit in. And you can see he comes up to you. He kind of leans in. He's like, Madam as well, is there something wrong?
Oh, no. I just didn't really want to interrupt my friend's story.
Oh, I see. Well, they are telling a curious tale that you are international drug hunters of some sort. Is this accurate? You are
She kind of
traveling.
chuckles like, I just help with some of the research.
I see. Yes, you are a scholar. Is that it?
I don't know if I go that far.
No.
Dr.
well,
Key's the scholar. I'm just her assistant.
She seems like a flirt, if you ask me. He kind of gives you a grin. Yeah.
And she kind of looks over his shoulder, just like, she's very pretty. As if like it's the most obvious thing.
Well, one does not have to be. Never mind. Would you wish to come back and join us? We're talking logistics. It seems now, Mr. Moreau, Captain Moreau Louis is going to walk us through the plans. Unless you have.
All right. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to make things more complicated.
No, not complicated at all. I was just coming to get more drinks because the service here is considerably slower than I remember it to be.
You can see someone comes over and they exchange like a couple phrases. You can tell like it's very affable and they're laughing, and kind of brings up a couple dusty bottles and stuff. You see,
I just saw you sitting here, and it seemed very the least a man can do. A gentleman, of course.
Thank you.
Can I get you something?
Yes. I'll have whatever you're having.
Perfect.
and so like comes over, gives another bottle. Like he kind of groups them all up in his hands, like clink, 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 clink,
Have
clink.
you been here long?
We were in Casablanca for most of last year. We came here in late January. We have been here for 3-4 months. Captain Moreau used to be stationed here for quite some time. But Pierre and I, we are relatively new. A few months, 4 months.
Okay. I have a question. I don't know who to ask. Can I ask you?
Of course.
And she kind of holds up the stump and smiles sort of a sad smile before putting it back in her pocket. I've seen a few people here that have different things amputated. One gets sick and need that done, or I'm just seeing a lot more than I saw back in Arkham.
You can see like he gets like kind of a grim look on his face.
The Italians, they have their presence has grown deeper of late. They push and officially we pretend not to notice. But there was an incident at Addis Ababa in February. Many were killed. It is very difficult to pretend to be nice with them now, but we must. Those who were not killed, many fled. Some to the desert, some here. Our nurses, our medics, did as best we could. So there are many here who suffered great violence.
And
heat,
Shyma
the
kind of
wind.
straightens up at that, and she mirrors the grim expression on his face. Thinking for a few reasons. One is that it just generally is pretty horrific. But Shyma, being part Indian herself, remembers the Jallianwala Bagh massacre in 1920.
Yeah.
Of British and Indian folk, and
Mhm.
she kind of straightens up, remembering that piece of history, apart from the general humanitarian feelings that she tends to have.
Yeah.
She'll kind of nod there. Thank you for telling me.
Of course.
I suppose I hoped it was something like illness that would have been better.
Well, there are illness, yes, but no, I don't think so. Nothing out of the ordinary. Sometimes the wells sometimes run dry. Sometimes they are poisoned in some way or another, and sickness can unfold from there. But here in Djibouti, it is less common than out in the deserts.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Dubois?
No, Jean. So he
Thank you for telling me.
gets up. He's like, come back. And he kind of like big smile. He's got a huge smile. Yeah. And he brings you back to the table where the rest of you have been talking. And so like Moreau is like, so the last thing like we said was like, is anyone here? No one has survival training of any kind.
I could swim a bit.
Not training, but Mr. Price and I are not unused to wilder country, not desert country though.
Yes, and he's like, as I said to Monsieur Sawyer, when we are away from here, be very dangerous. Out there, the sun can break you quicker than bullets. The wind is endless. It is angry. It will begin to whisper to you before too long. Medics will say it is heat stroke. Others will say it is something different. Either way, the environment is not your friend. It will play tricks on your mind. You must stay hydrated. You must stay in the shade when we find it. We travel mostly in dawn and dusk in the night, and we rest during the day. We move from well to well, watering hole or post to the other. And you must do, I say this not to be a tyrant, but to ensure your safety. You must do what I tell you when I tell you, because if you do not, you might find yourself wandering alone in the desert. This is not a threat. We have lost many people in a caravan, thinking that they know better. Many people who do not listen, and then they wander off, never to be seen again. Not only that, but there are many here who, would not take your presence very kindly. The Afar, they know the land better than we ever will, and it is best not to cross them. You might not be Italian, but you are certainly not locals. The Afar, they had little reason to trust outsiders before and after what has befallen much of their people recently. They have even less reason now. It's a wonder, in fact, that they let any of us pass through their territory at all. There are warriors amongst them, and some are fiercer than many a legionnaire, but they are also honorable in some way. They will They will see it in you. And then he like kind of looks at Will. Well, they will not. If you lose their respect, then they will let the desert take you. And make no mistake, it will. Now,
Trust you with their lives out there.
and if you listen, you will have those, and you will return here, and whatever research you are conducting in a remote village that perhaps has been covered by volcanic ash and rock for 10 years or so, your research will be successful.
And Marie's kind of looking as he's talking and kind of describing the conditions and all of these types of things. She's listening intently, and you kind of see her kind of fumbling around because she like kind of has her bag with her. And she's kind of like in her bag and she just sort of like puts her head down a little bit and like reaches into the bag and she kind of pulls out Joy Boy and just kind of puts him in her lap. And she's just sort of like, as he's listing out all of the dangers that we're about to come to. We had just an adorable little stowaway on the flight here. And you're
You could
describing such difficult conditions that we're going to find ourselves in.
I just love that we haven't stopped making Captain Moreau's life just so difficult.
Yeah.
So sure.
Just trying to keep you guys alive. And I'm gonna say that like both Dubois, like the other two, like start cackling in laughter, but you could see Moreau as
Mademoiselle, you plan to bring a kitten with you on this journey across the hottest region and perhaps the entire world.
Well, that's what I was checking. I suppose I could leave him at the hotel if I really
There
needed
are
to.
ample dangers beyond the heat, the wind, hyenas, scorpions, not even, of course, the Italians, your father themselves. Some have organized resistance. If he just sort of shakes his head. Oh, goodness gracious. And you can see he like sort of makes some sort of prayer under his breath.
And Marie's eyes are just getting bigger and bigger as he's describing kind of all of the.
Oh, goodness gracious. So what is it, other than the law, is there other things you are wishing to see? Places you are wishing to go?
Well, there was probably mainly that area. I think. Was there another Dr. King?
Masawa? Where the Balacho.
Yeah.
What's his name again?
Bartolo Acuna. So if you mention both of those things, if you mention Masawa, he will say he'll kind of like raise his eyebrows. That is a tall task. You of course could get into the city. You would need to speak with your embassy. You need to speak with your diplomatic relations, your financier, concoct reasons for why you would want to go into there. There's the Italians themselves. It is very much a military zone at this point.
If it's occupied, where would those people go?
But it depends on the people. As I said, many fled. Some into the wilds, into the deserts. Others at various friendly posts and trade posts, watering posts, villages. Some have come here. Bartolo. this man, who is this one? Bartolo Acuna. This is not Italian. Who are you? Who is this? Part of your research?
Dr. Key would know.
Yes, he's a professor who he was traveling to Dorolo on an expedition. And
Dalal?
that's Dalal. Sorry, excuse. I was reading a totally different word.
Okay. Okay. Professor. It kind of looks like he's thinking. He's like, the Italians, they have sometimes they put academics on leashes, and they take them to various sites to decide what is of value, what is not.
I know he's from Madrid. I don't know
Spanish?
if there's... Yes. And he was
And he
meeting an English man named George Ayers. Have you heard of him?
Okay. Yes, no. But Spanish, I believe, I heard that there was a Spanish archaeologist. Yes.
Yes.
He was in league with the Italians. They are taking him to various places, sites of old, trying to decipher what they would loot and sell, what they would loot and destroy, or this, that, or the other. He is perhaps in their custody, or he has allied himself with them. Yes. Hard to be certain. But yes, I do remember hearing stories of a Spanish man. There are not many Spanish here. They have no, as far as I understand it, they have enough troubles at home to contend with. Wars to fight there. They would not need to come here to fight more. But no, yes, I do seem to remember this. We will ask along the way. Perhaps Jerome and his people might know more.
Thank you. It's terrible news to find that he's aligned himself with the Italians.
Well, I must ask, I'm very curious what an archaeologist has to do with pharmaceutical research.
He's been at these sites, or supposedly been to.
Yes, but you said you are doing pharmaceutical research. What does that have to do with archaeology?
Oh, I told you about the religions, unconventionally, that they were out there. This man we're following deals with it.
So, you are dealing with a pharmaceutical industry, a legal drug, nectar. You are dealing with strange religions and sites. This is quite the tale. How do these things overlap?
It's something when you come across, you might understand. Putting it through words, it's hard to explain.
And that, give me a luck test, Patrick. For your mouth. Let's see if your mouth agrees with you. Just remain
42.
quiet.
It's a pass.
Okay.
That's no
Ooh.
fun.
And it does. It stays quiet. Like you can feel it gnawing through, and you know it's getting close. But you've double wrapped it. But you can feel like the dampness as its bile and its saliva is sort of soaking the cuffs of your light, newly purchased jacket or tunic. Okay.
Our true goal, honestly, is just Janet Winston Rogers' peace of mind. Her father was into some things with the religions, and that's that half of it. But we're trying to figure out how that necessarily ties in with the nectar nonsense that we've been uncovering.
Just kind of shakes his head a bit. C'est la vie. If this is... I see. I must say to you that I believe you are not telling us everything. And I hope that whatever it is that you are withholding us will not be the death of any of you or any of us when we cross the deserts.
We have
However,
not known all of the dangers before we got there, which is how Mr. Price ended up in the very real underground fighting. So even we do not know the extent of the dangers before we find them.
But I can assure you that there is no underground fighting club that you would have to contend with as we head to Dalal. Curious. I've heard there is nothing there but poisoned air and ghost rock, and that if that is where you wish to go, then that is where we will take you. We will leave when you are recuperated. Perhaps day, 2, how long it will take you to recover. Now, you guys travel, air travel. Don't think of air travel today. Think of air travel in 1937 in that shitty-ass Silver Lance over the course of 2 weeks, making multiple stops. Like, you guys are probably sore and exhausted.
For sure.
But he says, we will depart when you are ready. I will make arrangements. We will take vehicles as far as we can go. We will switch over to camels, and it will take us the rest of the way. And perhaps if we are lucky, we will return again and we will tell stories. Yes?
That's a plan.
Excellent. Well, I would suggest you all return to your hotels, get some rest. We will talk again soon. Yes?
Perhaps a dance to finish the evening on a more light note. We have lovely music behind us.
You look around, you're in some like kind of cafe. No one's really dancing. But I will not turn it down. But you guys get up. A few of you, whoever wants to participate, you start having small little dancing, either in this cafe or like just outside of it in this sort of dusty square. And we kind of fade out of whoever's participating, dancing around, laughter. And that's where I think we're going to end for tonight on a happy note before any of 1,000 things kill you.
When Will gets up from the table, he stumbles so hard because he had to drink so much to stay quiet. He just kept downing drinks.
I know, you were so quiet in that conversation. Wow, you were on such good behavior. You probably
just all looking longingly at the dance floor.
We have to start the trip before he can.
There's no dance
again. He knows
dancing. Yeah. Okay. You could have got up and danced. No one was stopping you from dancing, Shyma.
No, I know.
Okay. All right. So that is it for us. We'll pick this up. Yay. We are back. You all are, boy, like seriously. I've been getting lost. I was telling Steven, I've been getting lost in research. Like I'm just reading about the like we don't play a historically accurate game. That's not our goal. Our goal is to play, the vibes are accurate, but we don't care about the details, right? So, but it's so fascinating and horrific. And I was telling Melissa too, like I was looking at some images of the region. I've never been to the region, but I was looking at the region, like some of the images of just the terrain, the topography. Holy shit. It's like a different fucking planet. Like it's so crazy. Like the volcanic regions and stuff. It looks so cool. So
yeah, but still also, I took a look at that too. It was pretty interesting.
It's so cool, right? Isn't it fascinating?
Yeah, it really is.
It's like out of a science fiction movie. It's so amazing. Like it's so, I mean, for me, white dude from Florida and Arizona. So yeah, it was so cool. It's like, we don't see that kind of stuff. Like Melissa and I and Long and Ashley, the four of us, we live in a desert. Like, it doesn't look like that. It does not look like that, So it's fascinating. So it's pretty interesting.
It's fun too, just in the little like research things that we do of just like finding out about like music back in the 30s and like all of just the little things, I think is
where to find cats and such. Yeah. Kind of stuff. I cannot believe you're freaking bringing a cat.
I said this in chat earlier that like, because you and I had talked this week about like me as a person knows that this is horribly irresponsible and a just awful idea. But Marie is a very, very different personality who wants cats around and just thinks that this is a good idea and a good thing to do and isn't worried ever about being responsible. So that's always the fun of TTRPGs, is a totally different personality making horrible choices.
Yeah.
I
I
never
really
thought
like
Marie
this.
wanted cats around though, because she never had them around.
She keeps, it's crazy. I think Melissa's bleeding over. Her anti-animal stuff is bleeding over. That's why she's.
It's hard to keep us separate. It's hard.
It really is. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, but I've been losing my mind prepping for this one. But I'm very excited, and it's cool to get off. And I'm very glad that we got to bring back our French Foreign Legion pals to just take Will down as many freaking pegs as we possibly can.
He's got no shame. It's fine.
Great. It's gonna be great. I like how we're doing Italians on Thursday. Like Long, Melissa, and I, we're doing Italians on Thursday, and it's fun. It's light. And here they're like, no, they're fascists. They're really bad. So it's like, because it's like they're not technically Italians, but like it's Venice. Like Eversink is basically Venice, and so we do a lot of Italian accents and stuff. So here, nope. Okay,
different.
Let's. Melissa didn't mention this, but I'm looking now at my feed. Infinite Monkey Tales and Tales of Myth and Mayhem. Thank you both for the raid. Sorry I didn't chat you out on stream before, but we definitely appreciate it. If you haven't followed either of those channels, you really should. I think Tales of Myth and Mayhem, I think Mark was running his Master of the Arthotep today. I think that was today.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, if you like Call of Cthulhu, you should definitely check that out. Let's do some closing plugs. So Steven, Shush, Maitreyi, what you got going on?
I do place games on YouTube where I make system agnostic or multi-system tabletop content that's under the Human Plague Visit. Check out if you want to check that kind of thing out.
Fantastic. Excellent. Let's see. Anybody else? Okay, I think it's everybody.
You covered the raids already, so
we're good to go. I think
we're good to go.
Steven, tell us who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Why don't we just throw it over to Melissa as she picks up a book and tells us what the book is?
Nope, you do it. You're the creator. Let's go.
So Huckleberry is a Weird West tabletop RPG. It's out now on drivethrurpg.com. All the links are on huckleberryrpg.com. If you like horror, if you like westerns, it's a lot of fun. You should check it out. We've played it here on the channel. So if you want to see the introductory scenario, Divine Comedy, Jeff ran it masterfully. It's worth checking out.
Very cool. Awesome. It's a lot of fun. New update last couple of weeks. So a bunch of new content to play with, especially if you're the trail boss. You should definitely check it out. And you should hop on the Discord and ask Steven as many questions about it as you possibly can. He has been extremely gracious in giving with his ideas and his the sort of reasoning for why certain rules, certain ways, and also kind of encouraging people to kind of take it and play the game however they feel like playing it. So hop in and get in those conversations as well. As for us, stream-wise, Monday, I don't know. We're a little bit of a flux on Monday. We'll figure something out soon enough. Tuesday, you can see a few of us here playing through Perils and Princesses. Our friend Kipser runs us through that. It's been a lot of fun. We are at a ball with some Fae folk, so we'll see how that works out. Thursday next week, I mentioned it already. Swords of the Serpentine. We are going to be starting up a new arc as the last one ended with demon toad people coming to the rescue of the family. So we'll see what the next 5 years are like. And Long's character betrayed his family. We'll see what it looks like 5 years from now. Friday next week is a Dragonbane week. Aaron will be running that for us. And next Saturday, we'll be back to more of this. So yeah, come check it out. And if you haven't already heard, check out the YouTube page, Adventures in Lollygagging. You can see this guy next to me, Steven, running us through some Magnus archives. We got our second play session in last night. So you're going to be seeing that next week. We are going to do a raid. We're going to raid Dead Aussie Gamer. Looks like they're playing some Pathfinder. So follow that raid. Great rest of your night. Great rest of your weekend. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
I'll be seeing you.